You know, there are, for the most part, as Councilmember Brown just pointed out, who would stand and say that the predator's rights come first? Unfortunately, in the District of Columbus, it is the Catholic Archdiocese who has taken the position to oppose this bill. And we are grateful that the President of the Council of Churches of Greater Washington has signed a letter of support on behalf of the whole Council of Churches. They are supporting this. This time we are pleased to have the President of the Feminist Majority, Eleanor Smeal.
Thank you very much. I'm representing the Feminist Majority and the women's movement. We stand solidly for protecting children against sexual abuse, and we admire the diligent work of Barbara Blaine and David Cozy of fighting this scourge state by state and now in the District of Columbia. We can win this. There shouldn't be anybody that is trying to protect those who are the perpetrators of this horrible violence. And that this bill is not only important because it would protect children, but it goes at the ring that is protecting the violator. And unless we stop the cover-up, we will never end this abuse of children. And so we must pass this bill. There should be no negative votes. It should go to the floor, pass unanimously, and I believe if it does go to the floor for a vote, it will pass unanimously, because who could stand for child abuse and who can stand for a criminal cover-up? And so I think it's very important that all the movements come together for this. The civil rights movement, the women's rights movements, as well as the movement to end children's sexual abuse. We always say that the real victims of discrimination are the children. And in this case, the victims are children, and the perpetrators are people who have too much power, and that power has corrupted absolutely. So we stand strong with you, and we will do all we can to help pass this bill. Thank you very much.
I'm Jeff Dion with the National Center for Victims of Crime, which stands here in solidarity with victims of childhood sexual abuse. Let me be clear that the law as it exists today in the District of Columbia hurts no one but children and protects no one but predators. And that law must change. For too long, the victims of sexual abuse have foundered in darkness alone. And it's time for us to shine the light of justice by passing this bill. All of us here together have gathered to lend our voices on behalf of those who have no voices, those who have been silenced by shame, by fear, by isolation, because together our voices will create a chorus of justice, a mighty chorus of justice that will get this bill passed. Together we can make this happen, and we can protect the children. So please, everybody, implore Chairman Mendelson to please move this bill.
Good afternoon. I'm Santa Molina with the DC Rape Crisis Center. And someone has spoken on behalf of who are the innocent and who are the victims, and children being our victims. In addition to children being our victims, we also have the adult survivors of sexual abuse as children. And the idea of giving adult survivors some time to be able to speak on their issues is another way in which we can begin to address the needs of those victims as children. For most survivors, dealing with shame, dealing with fear, dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, dealing with all of the different issues that prohibit someone from coming forward, we need to create bills that allow survivors some time to heal and then show up and speak about who their perpetrators are, so that those perpetrators are not out in our community, sitting at our dinner tables, harassing and abusing and perpetrating our grandchildren and those little ones that are the victims. So it's extremely important to be aware of the fact that passing a bill that gives adult survivors of sexual abuse an opportunity to take time to heal so that they can come forward and they can speak on behalf of the children who are consistently being perpetrated. Sexual abuse is a generational issue. It just continues to be passed on. And passing this bill that gives women an opportunity to speak about their childhood experiences is the only way that we're going to get these perpetrators off the street so that they don't continue to repeat these violent crimes that they're committing against our children. And so the DC Rape Crisis Center certainly will support this bill and will do everything that we can to continue to offer services to the survivors. But what we really need to do is to stop this crime now, immediately, by passing this bill now. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I'm Debbie Shore and I'm with Sasha Bruce. And I am here to support this bill because I believe that there are actions that are taken against other people, that people take against other people, about which there should be no statute of limitations. There are things that are done to young children, to older people, that it does not make sense to me that we would have a law which protects people after a certain period of time. Also, I want to say that Sasha Bruce is a program that has been in existence for 30-some years and every year works with hundreds of young people who have been the victims of sexual abuse in their lives. And the kind of healing that it requires to come back from those experiences and begin to move beyond them requires the ability of people to stand up to their victimizer and to be able to protect themselves in that way. So I am fully in favor of this bill, and I think that it is high time that we move to the progressive kind of law that this would mean. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Ruby Harris, Director of the African American Advocates for Victims of Clergy Sexual Abuse. We not only represent the African Americans, we represent all victims. I believe this is an important bill that needs to be passed. We need to stop the shame and secrecy and the hurt of the victims. We need to do all we can to legislate actions that will support their healing process. So I urge the council to support the bill.
My name is Tanya Yaeger, and I am the National Board Member of Call to Action USA, a national Catholic justice organization with 25,000 members here in D.C. and across the country. Call to Action stands in solidarity with the Survivors Network of those abused by priests in asking for the statute of limitations to be lifted. We also stand with the thousands of abuse survivors who need this legislation in order to find healing on their journey from sexual abuse victim to survivor. Most victims of child abuse do not have the healing or support needed to report the abuse until they are adults. By then, the statute of limitations keeps them from bringing their case forward, and the sexual predator gets away with the crime while often continuing to abuse other children. The statute of limitations on sexual abuse serves only one purpose: to protect sexual predators and those who shield them from the law from being charged with their crimes. If this Amendment Act is passed and the statute of limitations is lifted, this too will serve a purpose. It will protect the children and families of the District of Columbia. On behalf of Call to Action and our members, I ask you, the council members of the District of Columbia, to stand on the side of children and lift the statute of limitations. Let's make this city one that is safe for all children.